doing it. That's what this is meant to do, right? This is not a $47 tool. This is a life-changing tool. This is something that if you're going to be in real estate, you can't lose from this, right? That what I'm going to drop with you guys on this couple-hour training is really high-level stuff. I'm going to drop with you like exactly what I'm teaching my guys. So low battery, bam. We now know. See that? That was perfect timing too. Like every presentation has to be the lifespan of my MacBook. Good. Well, I don't really, it's hard to say any one person is right or wrong. Either way, I mean, I don't pay attention to what they send out. I literally, I have to go figure it out for myself. Because listen, you can't trust someone else who's selling you something to give you accurate information. So when I'm selling stuff, people really, they're pretty confident that it's right because I won't just say it's 100K and work and it's 200K ARV. I'll show them, I'll send 4 comps with it and say, look, these are the comps I'm using. Go and ride those comps and tell me if I'm right. If I'm wrong, let's re-talk about it and let me see where I made a mistake. And then when I send them the budget, I literally will send the budget, say here's the work line item out for you. Tell me what you disagree with. And that's why I'm able to wholesale very easily with a phone call because I'm sending deals that make sense. Most wholesalers don't have that information to give, right? They don't know how to do that, so they don't share it. That's why it's important you learn that stuff because your wholesaling business skyrockets when you build the credibility of the guy who actually is a good wholesaler and getting good numbers. People love when a wholesaler sends stuff with good numbers on it because it's so rare, right? Most of the stuff we see, the numbers are all over the place and they're not very accurate. But you can do wholesaling either way. It's just a step better if you actually know the numbers. Make your life easier because you can get better results as a wholesaler. It really depends, but I can tell you that, I've seen people that aren't very good at it who usually make $5,000 to $10,000. I'm averaging about $13K on mine, and I know some really good wholesalers averaging even more. This market's very hot right now. People really want to renovate. They want to invest. So if you're really good at it, you can get, if you go and negotiate a good deal. The key to when it works and it doesn't work is when you go in and make that offer. If you're making the 100K offer because you think that's right, and then you find out it's 80, then you're going to make 0. Right? If you make an 80K offer because you thought it was 80, but then come to find out it was 70, maybe you can find a sucker that'll buy it for a little more. Maybe you make 1,000 or 2. But imagine if you knew you had to pick it up for 70, and then all of a sudden, because you priced it well, you create that buyer's frenzy, and you find the one buyer who's willing to pay 85, 90 for it. That's how you make all your money. It's the same thing. You got to put your wholesale deals out at good numbers. When you put them out at a good number, then people go crazy. I know Sabrina, I offered her one for a 5K assignment fee. I found someone to buy it for 14K. It's just timing wasn't right for her, but then the person who bought it paid 14K for it. And it's just you find because she was one of many people who wanted it, and that became this buyer's frenzy, and one person emerged as the winner. And that's how we get the most money for it. So the difference is if I was newer and I only knew Sabrina, I could have maybe sold her for 5K. But being able to create that environment because I priced it really well is how I got 14K out of it. So you can see it's a variable. But just get good at pounding it at the right number, and then it'll be easy for you to find buyers. Because the worst thing you can do is if you put someone on the list, say you put me on your list and you call me 3 times and all your deals are 30K too high. Probably the next time you call me, I might just hey, let me put a block on that. I'm tired to mess with him. Because that's just the truth. I got a lot of people calling me, and I can't really take every phone call. But now you send me a deal and the numbers look good. Whether we do that deal or not, I'm answering every one of your calls. Because I'm he knows the numbers, so when he calls me, he has something that's close. That's all I really care about. As long as you're in the ballpark. But I've had most people call me are hey, I want 150, and I'm it's 90. It's that far off. Now you call me and say I want 100 and it's 90, I'll take every phone call you ever bring to me. Because I'll know when I talk with you, we're close. Right? We might have to hammer some stuff out, but we can work it out enough that it'll be worth me talking to you. That's how most other people think too, by the way. Right? They have to pick who they deal with. So be the guy who knows the numbers, be the guy who really, or female, who also knows, make sure you know what you're doing, and you'll garner respect from a handful of people. And that's all you need to be in this business is 3 to 5 people who are serious buyers and that you can go find deals for. Then once you have that, you just keep moving it. But I'll go ahead and then you next. Okay. Oh, sorry, go ahead. 25 is my minimum. Yeah, 25 to 30 is my minimum, just depending on how much work it is. Right? If it's a lot of work, then it might be even higher. The minimum is usually attached to if it's 100K in work, then it's a 50K minimum. Most of the stuff I'm buying is 40 to 60K in work, so 25 to 30K is usually my minimum. And I'm okay with that. If I can consistently pump that out, I'm more than fine making. Look, if I make 20K and it's a $20,000 renovation, I would do that all day long. I generally never go under 20K because, like, just with the variables we have, like, under 20K gets very risky. So I hope that answers your question. So over here, then. It does not. I'm going to give you an easier way than that. Because I can tell you, I did a training on that with within my group, on my higher level group, and we spent 7 hours on that training. And then people were like, we need to see it again. So it's like, that's not an easy training to give. Yes. I'm going to show you how, without knowing the answers to all that, like, right, I'm going to show you how to click a button, it'll say new roof, and it's going to automatically just put in what you need. So yes, it'll handle that for you, but in a simpler way. Right? Because if we make it too complex, first of all, you won't use it. We don't want you to have like 6 months before you feel comfortable enough to use it. I want you to leave the training and be comfortable enough to know that number. And that's how we keep it really simple. And that's what I do for acquisitions people, because they don't have time to figure it out over 8 months. They want to learn it like in a week so they can start making offers. Like Rashad was making his offers in a couple of days. So that's all it takes. So there's someone over here who was next. Oh, sorry, go back here.
I just want to say I'm new. This is my first time here. I'm new to this flipping thing. I'm actually a realtor.
Okay.
Trying to get into this whole side of the business. But if anybody needs a realtor to partner up with, help around comps, CMAs, stuff like that, be more than happy to help you.
Yeah, there you go. So there's how you get your comps and how you get someone to work with. There's multiple realtors in the room, by the way. Yeah, so plenty. Good.
So Mike, would you say it's also vital to have your team pretty much lined up, your funding, as well as contractors, and as well as your
so you want to have, the most important part is you got to start finding deals, and then I tend to line those things up as it's time to do so. So trying to find a contractor and saying, hey man, will you do my work? And then 6 months later you bring a rehab, well that contractor's probably not going to be available then. Right? The contractor you'll need is the one who can meet your pricing but is also available to work for you. Like John's a contractor, he almost did a house. We were like messing around and he got busy doing his own stuff and we couldn't work with him because of that. It was just timing, right? I mean, like we're very close on pricing. He's a good guy. He knows, I don't know if you work for anyone else anymore. I know he does a lot of his own stuff now. But, it was a lot of timing. And that's how most good contractors like John are going to be, right? They're going to work with you if they're free, but if they're not free, so it would be best to look for them when you actually have a house. Because now you can say specifically, like, here's the house that settles in 2 weeks, you would start then. We're talking real. We're not saying, theoretically, I'm going to, because they might look and say, he's never going to have a house. I don't know if he will or he won't. They might consider not take you serious. So I tend to build most of my team. Like, the contractor is the hardest person to get. Finding a realtor, finding, like, a title company and all that, that's really simple. Like, if you come here and just ask anyone in the room, and I'll literally just, here's who you can use for this, this, and this. These are go-to people, and you're done. Your team's built. It's really simple because I only work with the best title companies and realtors. There's multiple people in the room. Like I said, you should walk out of here with at least 1 or 2 contacts to make sure. Sorry, John, you have a question?
Well, as far as if you got your signature on something, then
yeah.
If you don't, then or I will, but I build. So
yeah.
I have a service like if people have wanted me to come and look at their project just for that purpose. And I said, well, is it under contract? No. I said, if it's not, then I'll come, but I'm going to charge you for that time.
Yeah.
But if you purchase that house and you use me as your contractor, I give that money back to you.
Yeah. What do you charge? Yeah. How much do you charge?
It's usually an hourly charge. It's like $75 an hour.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty fair, to be honest.
Somewhere between 2 and 4 hours.
Yeah.
Depends on what you want written up on the back.
Sure.
How much time it takes you to write that.
Yeah. So
but if you just want a ballpark.
There's your point, though, right, of what we're talking about here. You need a simple, fast way to not have to call John until you get the deal under contract, and then you bring John in because he'll do it for free then versus charging you $75 to $150. Yeah, sorry.
My real question was in relation to wholesaling. What method do you find is the best for settlement? When I've been reading a lot about people having issues when they go to a settlement and the purchasers see how much money the wholesaler is going to make on the deal.
Yeah. So, what I've changed over about 4 years to doing, and this is like, you'll have a lot of questions around this, but I'll just expose you to it now, and then it's something you'll have to read up on. Instead of doing a normal assignment of contract where we just literally assign the contract to someone else, that comes up on the HUD. So if you're making $20K, yes, the seller will see you made $20,000. So I did that for years, and how I handled that for years is I just had a really good script and said something along the lines of, they're like, what is this $20,000? And I'd be like, well, I'm working with a partner, and they pay me in advance, and it has nothing to do, you're still getting the same money we agreed upon. And they'll be like, okay, no problem. But let's say then eventually I got tired of having those conversations because I stopped going to settlement. So there was no one to say that, right? And say, and so then it got weird. So we started doing assignments of LLCs. We would buy it in an LLC that we would create just to buy the property. And then I sell the LLC to like John. Now he gets this LLC named 123 Main Street. And when you sell that, you're selling the LLC and not the property. You're just selling the LLC that owns the property. So it doesn't go in the HUD, whatever you're making, which is really nice to not to have that kind, especially if you're making like 50 or 60K. I bought a wholesale deal last Wednesday from one of my students, and he made $55,000 on it. And I was like, hey, dude, where did you get that contractor you're using? Because it literally said, I am selling to you for $130,000, and I am making $55,000 on it. And I'm like, well, it's me, so I don't care. I'm like really happy because it's my student, right? I'm impressed. I'm so like happy he's making that money. But imagine he sent that to some random investor and they get mad because he's making too much. So I was like, hey, why are you not using the one I gave you when you were in the training? He's like, oh, I've used this one before. I'm like, no, go to this one. This one doesn't show what you're making. And then make sure it's an assignment of LLC. So because like literally I know that like if you take 10 investors, like there's going to be a couple at least of the 10 that are going to go crazy because he was making that money. I'm the only guy who's super happy because as his coach, I'm very happy for him that he's making $55,000. But I'm still got a good deal, by the way. I got a really good deal. So it's good for all of us. So. So do I have what kind of system?
So you put every house in its own wholesaling.
If I'm wholesaling.
Is there an easy way to do that without having?
Yeah. Online, you can do it in 5 minutes online now. Yeah, you used to have to go down there and sit in line and deal with that for a while, but not anymore. They made it online. It's super easy. So, good.
Have you done it in a trust before?
I haven't done it in a trust. I used to have one a long time ago, a trust I did with, and I found it was more issues than I would have expected. The guy had sold me the trust, said it would be so easy, but no one understood it, and everyone gave me a lot of crap about it, so eventually we stopped doing that. And there was like a weird way you could do it, but the problem is a lot of the title companies and like even trying to sell someone on the fact that you're going to sell them an LLC is going to require you saying and doing the right things to them so they're not sketched out by it, right? But when you get to the trust, it gets even sketchier because people don't trust anything they don't understand, right? So the reality is it's a little easier to understand the LLC transfer than it is the trust. So trust can work, it's just more complicated and harder to explain, and it's also way more expensive to do. It's not like cheap to do a trust. Well, I think if you do it yourself, but usually it's complicated. I can't personally. I paid like $1,500 to get a trust built for me. So the LLC costs $150, and you can take 3 minutes to get online. And then here's the thing: usually when I assign it, they pay me the $150 back that I spent on it. So there'll be assignment fee plus they're paying for the LLC since they're getting it. No one has ever said anything about the $150, and I'm just happy that I'm not losing $150 on every house I wholesale because I'm like that adds up, right, Joel? Eventually, you'll be like I didn't make any profit this year. I lost it in the 150s. How about anyone else? Any other questions? Who's on the fence about buying the deal analyzer? Who's like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm missing something. Yeah, good. Yeah.
What's different from yours that makes it unique?
So every other analyzer I've ever seen was a product they were selling. And they literally were selling the product because it just made it simple. And it was very easy, right? They would show you this, but it was never accurate. It wasn't a real tool they used in their business. And this is what's different about this. I use this tool every day. There's multiple students in this audience you can pull to the side. She uses this tool every day. It works perfect, right? And like, there's Gail, ask Gail, right? Yeah. Yeah. It's because I didn't invent it to make $47 off of it, right? I spent probably $250,000 in energy and time developing this, but it was because I'm making a lot of money as a house flipper. It wasn't so I could say, hey, give me $47 because it would have never paid for itself. right? I don't really sell this for 47, but what I do with it is I make a lot of money buying houses. So it's not your common offer, right? I'm giving this today, like I said, it's a small marketing test. I'm not going to do it forever. You won't see me every month trying to sell you a $47 product. I just thought we talked about it. My coach who I work with said, hey, why don't you give some people to see what your coaching would be like and give them a very affordable way to experience what you have. And some people just use it. You'll crush it, use it in your business. Maybe you decide you want to work with me in the future. So this becomes for me, my gift to you to show you like what I'm about and how like detailed our systems are. And you'll see it in the analyzer. So it's meant to do that job. It's not meant to make $47. If it doesn't perform and it doesn't do everything I said, we got a money back guarantee. So like maybe you use it, it sucks, and it's like every other deal analyzer, just call me. I'll give you the $47 back. 100% guarantee, 30 days, check it out, and I'll let you keep it, by the way. So like just keep it. You'll probably throw it in the trash if you hate it enough to get the 47 back. But let's just say you don't like it. There's no risk for you because I want you to use it and I want you to experience it. So go ahead and then I'll go to you, then you class. So you first, sorry. I've looked at almost every analyzer before I developed this because it would have been a lot easier for me to just take someone else's and just like, that's awesome, right? I got this analyzer. The foundation of this analyzer came from Fortune Builders. I spent $32,000 to get this analyzer. And then I spent a lot of money and years and time taking it from the foundational one they gave me that didn't work very well and turning it into something that's a tool I use in my business every day. So this is really a tool now that's been developed specifically with an underwriting criteria. That's one thing analyzers don't have too, by the way, is the underwriting criteria that tells you where they'll all just do 70%, right? You've seen in some situations we got to be at 65 and some we can be at 74. So that underwriting is definitely going to be one of the major differences. It's telling you how to adjust your offer according to the neighborhood. And that came through a lot of years of experience that I could write that underwriting criteria. It works really well. I use it all the time. It's why I have very consistent results. So it's you, and then I'll go to you, and then you next. So I have multiple. Usually if someone's interested, just give me a call and we'll talk. I'll usually do like an hour discovery call with you. And more importantly, it really is a matter of what you're looking to get. Like, if you just want to get started, I have some really cheap stuff that I can give you that'll give you a ton of information for a very affordable price. If somebody wants to work with me at a really high level, we're just like every day building your business out, then that costs more, obviously. But so it's always good to start with a call and just see, and then I can really explain. But I teach people, how to flip houses. Right? I mean, everyone who's ever gotten my program, 85% of people get in, they make their money back instantly. And that's the reason for that, because for the longest time, I guaranteed you made your money back. There's no coach that does that. Like, literally, you spend money with me, you don't get it back, you stay in the program. That's what I did for many years. So. Well, they're all the same way, right? But it's how much access to me costs more. If you're with me working personally once a week and we're really scaling your, it's going to cost more than if you want to do group sessions with me and 5 other people. That's a different cost. It's going to be more affordable. Most people choose, like Sabrina's in a group, and it costs a little bit of money, but she's made it back multiple times. She's done many deals, just like everyone in the group. Everyone in the group makes money. I'm also very specific. One thing you get out of the reason I do the hour call instead of just selling it to you, you go to any other coach and they're like, my program's this much and you want to buy it, they're going to sell it to you. I don't actually do that because, see, I'm making all my money flipping houses, not coaching. And I don't want you as a student if you're not in the right place to be a great student. This is why my success rate's really high. I pick the right people to coach. If you need to work through some stuff, then I'm going to help you work through it in a free manner so that way you're not wasting money until you get to the right place. So that's why I do that call. It takes a lot of my time to do those calls, but what it does, it ensures that the group of people we work together, they inspire each other, and it's a really awesome group. There's no negative people in the group. We're all getting results because I'm handpicking the people to be in the group. Now, the good news is if I say, hey, you're not ready, I'll give you a nice action plan, and you get all that for free in the call we do. And I'll say, here's some steps. Do those and come back to me in 30 days. And if you do them, I'll get you in. And if you don't, which a lot of people don't, then I'll know that you weren't ready yet, and that you need to work through some stuff. Because I don't want you to jump in and not get any results and then be mad at me, right? I want you to be able to get these results. That's why I coach. It's not for the money. I make a lot of money flipping. I make little money coaching. I keep it really affordable. Yeah. So we always do stuff on Zoom because a lot of people, if you live in PG County, if we were saying, hey, let's meet at the Denny's in Pasadena, it's really far. Right? You're sitting in traffic, so we do Zoom. Second benefit of Zoom is it's recorded. So if you can't make it Thursday at 4 when we're doing a training for an hour or two, you can watch it later. right? We keep it really like, that way everyone can benefit. With that being said, we do in-field training once a month where we'll go out, we'll look at houses, I'll walk you through the house, I'll show you exactly how to estimate it. Like, we really do get in detail. The secret to why the training works so well is that whatever you need so you can get results, I'll give to you. If you go through my academy that I have, and it's called the Flip Factor Academy, and if you go through that academy and you're like, Mike, it doesn't teach this, you just call me and I'm going to add it. Like, it's that simple. There's nothing it's missing because the academy's purpose is not to sell you a product, it's to get you a result. Because every time you get a result, I get personal benefit of being like, hey, I've helped someone, I've given back. Right? Yes, you paid for it, but like, did you really pay for it? If you spend $5,000 and you make 100, you didn't really pay for it. You invested and made a wise investment. But that's really on me as your coach to make sure that happens. And that's where I'm different from every other coach. Most people are just selling a product. It's a business to them. They sell you the product. It's on you to figure it out. That's how my first coach was. Like, it wasn't him who made me succeed. He gave me the information, but I had to go make it work because he was just selling a product, and I just was lucky enough that I did not want to continue to be poor. So I was like, I'm going to fight hard for this, and I did. And eventually, when I cracked the code, I've had better coaches since then that I've learned, and that's how I coach is based on the best coaches I've had. And they're the ones that work with me, but they're very tied to me getting results. They don't care about the coaching. They're like, coach with me or not. They're very abundant coaches. Like, they're not trying to sell you make some money. They're really trying to get your result because they're tied to your personal results. I'm very tied to the personal results. That's why I don't let everyone in, because I want to make sure you get those results. If you don't get them, then I feel bad, right? And then it takes the value of what I'm doing here away. That's why I do these for free and I don't charge, right? I pay for this every month so you guys can get this value. Yeah. On the courthouse steps, I do some. I don't recommend it when you're new. It's a little higher level play. It's very risky play. Because often you have to buy it sight unseen and put a really big deposit down. So I don't recommend it when you're new. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, so here's the, and then I'll tell you, that sounds like logical in theory, but the reality is, so how I protect myself is, let me say I use this sheet. It says I should make a $125K offer, right? I go make the offer and they say, Mike, we've accepted your offer. Okay, well, what do you have to do next? You got to send a deposit, right? When I go to send a deposit, what do I have the opportunity to do now? I get to go back to the house and make sure everything I thought was right before I give them the deposit and make it real. So this is my window that I'm able to be real safe. Now, when you do an auction property, like you bid and you win, they're like, yeah, give us $10,000 non-refundable, and you might not even see the inside of the house. So it's pretty tricky. Yeah, it's very tricky. The ones you can go see, honestly, they're hard because, like, anytime people are in that competitive environment we just talked about, they tend to overpay. So I've probably been to 100 auctions. I've not won one. So it's a little bit, there are easier routes, right? And that's what I teach in the coaching, the easiest route to get deals. I'm not saying auctions are bad, but like if we've got 6 ways to get deals, let's pick the easiest one to start with, right? Because the hardest one, you do that when all the easy ones are gone. Like, I've done auctions, but I didn't do it until I exhausted. When I was doing 130 deals a year and I wanted to go to 150, well, I exhausted all the easy stuff, so I had to go to the hard stuff. But when you're just trying to do 10 deals a year, start with the easiest thing to do to get 10 deals a year. It'll make you love this business more because it'll be easier. So someone else had their questions. Anyone who wants it, Delante's back there if you want to take an order sheet with you. Again, it's a limited time test. We're keeping it super cheap so you can use it. It'll come with a nice training. You'll be able to interact with me, and we'll get you knowing the numbers at a really high level. Because the reality is that not everyone goes over budget. Not everyone gets the numbers wrong. Like really great flippers who've done hundreds of homes do not. And you've got to start there. Because if you can start getting the numbers correct, you're going to make money. If you accept that the market does whatever you want and you're out of control, then you become a victim. Right? And I was a victim for many years. And I tell this from my own experience, not as judgment, but I was a victim. And when I went from not being a victim to taking control of my destiny, I got very specific about all these things, right? And how they work and what they work for. Okay? Oh, I'm sorry. Gail, go ahead.
I just want to say, anybody who did not bought the program was sending out yesterday. I think on your website, once a year that I put up.
Yeah.
Well, I took the paper and titled it.
Okay.
The rehab, the $20,000 assignment.
Nice job, Gail.
Was actually, when he finished going through the house,
Mm-hmm.
it was $50 less than what I actually
Wow.
did.
Really?
That was all I had. That was the